We've been homesteading for 20 years, but we actually started gardening 15 years ago, and it's been quite a journey. I love gardening. I absolutely love growing things and bringing them in the house and making all the good things with my produce. This is the garden that we had, one of the garden areas that we had in California, and I grew lots of different things. Now that we're in Georgia, things are different. The weather is different, and the things that are best to plant are different. So I'm really excited to get into gardening here. And here's a little bit about our gardening experience here. So the first year we were here, we did a small raised bed garden in the front of the house. Joe built just this little garden area in front of a retaining wall. So it was kind of meant to hide the retaining wall and also have a space for me to garden. So that worked out for the first 2 years. We had that the first year, and last year I used that space as well. We had planned to expand our garden in this area that I am right now, but it just took a lot longer than we thought. I had actually a lot of plants ready to be planted, and they didn't end up getting planted because things didn't get done. It's the way it is on the farm. Sometimes you just don't have the time to finish all the projects you want. So we were doing other things at that time, and we just didn't get it finished. But this year, I decided we made some headway with an idea last year on what we wanted for the raised beds, but they didn't really work out well. And I also discovered I really wanted my raised beds to be in ground. I wanted them to had access to the ground. So the way we had our other planters, there was no access to the ground. It was just lifted up and had a platform, so there was space in between. Anyway, it was an idea. It just didn't work out. And so after that didn't really work out, we decided that I wanted to do the whole garden different. I want to have an entertainment spot for having guests over, and I want to for education reasons. The straw bales. So I'll show you what we got going on there. Straw bale. So I'm doing straw bale gardening this year just because I didn't want it to be permanent, and I wanted to be able to get started right away. And also I was kind of excited about trying something new. I've never done straw bale gardening, so I was just really kind of excited to try it. And I've heard good things about it, so I'll show you here. This is our straw bale garden. I have not planted anything in it yet. I'm still waiting for the straw bales to decompose and to compost in there. So I'm still waiting for a little bit, but this is where our first garden, I would call it real garden, is going to be in this garden space, this side of the house garden space that we have. I'm gonna go ahead and test out my straw bales. I don't know for sure if they're ready, but I thought I'll sacrifice one plant to see if they're ready. And if this one doesn't die, then I will plant more. But I got my zucchinis in this thing. I'm just gonna separate it from the rest of the group. And I'm gonna open up my little spot here. See what happens. If it dies, then I know it wasn't ready. But that's a nice and healthy plant, so we shall see what happens. Careful with the plants. Are you getting your hand wet? So I've been gardening for about 15 years. When my youngest daughter was little, I kind of staked my ground. We were living in our property for a few years, so I was just, finally ready, and I said, I need to just stake this ground. So I did, and I used rebarb to show my plot, which was a very small plot at the time, and I said, this is where my garden's going to be. And so that's what I ended up doing. But I did mostly in-ground, and now I'm experimenting with straw bale gardening and doing more raised beds. I'm in Georgia, where the weather is totally different. I came from dry land with barely any rain, sandy soil, to very clay soil, very moist and humid. The temperatures are different. The temperature is not so different. It's the moisture that's different. And so I have to get used to the fact that I don't have to water the garden sometimes. And then sometimes if I water it and then it rains and I've just watered it way too much. So there's some things that I'm still getting used to. I hope you come back. We have lots of things in the works and lots of things to share about our homesteading journey and our gardening journey and just life in general. So please subscribe, and we'll see you soon.